let's talk about the day that you walked into KMAC and were the mayor of Detroit,
Hmm.
whereas the day before or the week before, you had been the president of the city council. What kind of things surprised you
Yeah.
about that, and what kind of challenges did you encounter?
Yeah. Well, first off, I mean, the one question that people used to always ask me about was it a big surprise?
Yeah,
And obviously it wasn't
yeah. Well, we
because
saw it coming.
if you're looking at, if I don't know if people necessarily remember a lot of the dynamics that were at play, but I mean, I think I was at a point where, for want of a better term, my kitchen table cabinet and a lot of the staff and people around me kind of knew at some point you're probably just going to be a piece of paper away from becoming the next mayor of the city
Sure.
of Detroit.
Yeah.
So it was just a question more so of when rather than if. So so from that standpoint, I had a little
You
bit of
had some
time to
prep.
prepare,
Yeah.
and to get ready because you know it was coming. It's just you don't know exactly when it was going to come. Having said that, though, the transition, yeah, it was challenging because obviously it wasn't a typical transition.
Right.
Typically, when somebody becomes mayor, or for that matter, any executive, whether it's county executive, whether it's governor, whether it's president of the United States, you typically have a transition
Yeah.
period of essentially November, December
Sure.
to get ready. In this case, it was more like your transition period is basically a
Is
couple
now.
days,
Right.
maybe a week
Yeah.
or so, to go ahead and make that switch. So it required a really kind of galvanizing and moving very quickly to get certain things set up and to prepare for it. But ultimately was able to do it
Yeah.
under very unusual
Yeah.
circumstances.
What were some of the immediate differences that you noticed between that legislative branch and leading that legislative branch, and then leading the entire city and city government?
Well, it's like the volume of everything gets turned up to 11,
Yeah.
and the scope of everything that you have to deal with all of a sudden increases dramatically because you go from, like, when you're a council member, for example, I'm not sure what it's like now, but back then, looking at the typical size of the average council member's budget, if you're a rank and file council member, you probably have a budget of anywhere from maybe 4 to 5, or well, it gives you the ability to maybe hire anywhere from 4 to 5 people.
Yeah.
Council president, by virtue of enhanced responsibilities, you have a larger budget and you also have oversight authority over a number of other city council staff divisions at that time. So I basically was responsible probably for maybe about 7 direct staff who worked for me. And then in total, counting 3 other staff divisions, probably about 35 people.
Wow.
So basically went from managing a staff of 35 people to probably about
Right.
3,400,
Right. Yeah.
in the space of just a couple of days. So that's the biggest difference because now you're responsible for ultimately day-to-day management and operations of entire city government.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Um, uh, the city was not in great shape
Right.
when you got to be the mayor. You had this political crisis that had been, I think, distracting people for a
Right.
year or more at that point. And I said it was 2009. It was actually 2008 when you became the mayor.
Correct.
And then we had like 3 elections.
4 total.
Was it 4?
For me, yeah, it was 4.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah.
But talk about that early time in office and what you discovered about what was working, what wasn't, and what the opportunity was as mayor to do much about it.
Right. Well, it wasn't a surprise because even before taking office, we knew that the city's finances
Yeah.
were challenged,
Yeah.
and because this was pre-bankruptcy,
Right.
so it was before the emergency manager came in, and you later on had things like the grand bargain, which led to a dramatic restructuring of the city's
Of debt.
finances and
Yeah.
elimination of a lot of that debt. This was before any of that, so it was like you had this tremendous weight kind of pressing down. It did present an opportunity because while it was a crisis, what's the old saying? And I can't remember who coined it. I think it's generally attributed to Winston Churchill, but I don't think he actually said it. But the saying is never waste a crisis.
Right.
So from that standpoint, it presented an opportunity to say, okay, what can we do to rethink city government, how it looks, how it operates, and how it delivers basic services.
Yeah, yeah. So if you think about the time that you had in office, what are the things that you felt like you were able to say, "All right, I can fix that," even if it's a small thing?
Hmm.
Obviously, you couldn't have fixed the entire thing in the time you had, but what are some of the things that you would point to that you said, "Look,
Right.
we actually took care of that."
Yeah. Yeah. One of the basic things that we did, I brought in a new police chief, and we actually created an arrangement with the Detroit Public Schools Police Department
Mhm.
where we said, we're going to coordinate services more effectively in order to make sure that when there's issues in and around schools, or actually if there's, for example, a problem within a school,
Yeah,
the Detroit Police Department and the Detroit Public Schools Police Department, they're on the same wavelength. They're talking and they can coordinate a response if necessary.
yeah,
That was something that we were able to do, you know, pretty quickly
yeah,
and pretty easily.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so let's talk now in
Hmm.
the city about it's many, many years later. We're in another election cycle. We have two members of the city council
Hmm.
who say they want to be mayor.
Right.
We also have a former city council person, Santil Jenkins. She was also city council president at a time, who want to do it. Uh, what would you say to those candidates in particular about what they need, what they need to be prepared for, and what from the work that they're doing now
Hmm.
kind of translates over into being effective in the mayor's office?
I would say the big thing to prepare for, because even though I had served in city government for over a decade before
Hmm.
I became mayor,
Hmm.
uh, but when I became mayor, the one thing that even I wasn't quite ready for is the extent to which every day can hit you with something completely unexpected.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's the thing I think anybody that's going to be mayor needs to be prepared for. You can have a sense of what your day is going to look like just based on your calendar and what you have on it. But the reality is something may come up that's going to force you to completely recalibrate and do something different. I can remember, for example, one Saturday morning where when I was mayor and I got the phone call that there was a fire on the east side,
Hmm.
DFD had responded. One of the firefighters that was on the scene was fighting the fire, actually fell through the roof, was seriously injured,
Hmm.
and was taken to the hospital. This is a Saturday morning. I'm thinking it's going to be a fairly light day for me. No, you got to get up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, go to Detroit Receiving Hospital, because when you get those calls, it
Yeah.
is very often important for the mayor to be on site, to be there, to respond, to be there to meet with the family, to deal with that,
Yeah.
to deal with other firefighters. Similarly, if it's a police officer that maybe gets involved in a police involved shooting and is injured,
Hmm.
you're going to have to, whatever you had on your calendar, that all is going to have to be set aside. You need to go deal with that. Or it could be something like, for example, maybe you find out that the city's bond rating just got downgraded.
Sure.
So now
That used to happen a lot.
yeah. So now you need to be in a position to coordinate with your public relations team and with the city's communications team to respond to that, because you're going to be getting questions, not just from local media, but even national media as well.
Yeah.
So I would say the thing that they have to be prepared for and be ready for is to understand that whatever you think your day looks like from day to day, it could change on a dime, and you have to be prepared to respond to it.
Yeah.